as Chief Technical Advisor, Kogi, on the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, and Facilitator, African Center of Excellence in Technology and Learning, National Open University of Nigeria. She also served as a visiting professor at the Pan-African University Institute of Basic Sciences, Technology and Innovation, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, Kenya, and a PhD advisor at the Network for Globalization, Accessibility, Innovation and Care, promoting the partnership between the African University Network and European universities. Presently, she volunteers as the International Projects Synergy and Support Lead for the NUFIC Regional and Ethiopia Project for KIU and Dutch partners. The two-part project is sponsored by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs and is facilitated by e-learning and data sharing in the Horn of Africa to develop and implement e-learning systems to strengthen security and rule of law, food and nutrition, specifically in Somalia, Sudan and Southern Sudan, and Northern Ethiopia under the Dutch Orange Knowledge Program, OKP initiatives. As the executive coordinator of the Virus Outbreak Data African Network, VODAM Africa, she led the initiative to give Africa a place in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic through the deployment of the only first and only successful implementation of machine actionable fair data point in the context of COVID-19 pandemic across Ethiopia, Kenya, Nigeria, Tunisia, Uganda, Zimbabwe, and the Netherlands. She is currently leading the expansion of the initiative into Tanzania, Somalia, Liberia, Burkina Faso, Rwanda, China, Indonesia, and Kazakhstan. The initiative that was applauded in the 2021 UNESCO Engineering Report achieved the Vandana Minimally Viable Product, MVP, through the installation of the MVP in 84 health facilities in 8 African countries and received the award of the most inspiring initiative at the Leiden Science Week in May 2022. Professor Francisca is one of the inaugural fellows of the Pan-African Scientific Research Council and a supporting partner of the African Universities Network on Fair Open Science, a Grace Hopper Faculty Scholar, and a fellowship alumni of the Heidelberg Laureate Foundation, Germany, United States Department of State Exchange Program, Tech Women, Internet Engineering Task Force, the Women of Color in Computing, Widening Natural Language Processing, Women in Machine Learning, Black in Artificial Intelligence, etc. She is a 2-time recipient of the PyCon USA grant, the ACM FAT Fellowship in 2019 and 2020, and the 2019 Diversity and Inclusion Fellowship of the ICML. She was a postdoctoral fellow at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, an alumni of the prestigious Machine Learning Summer School, and has been trained in machine learning, big data analytics, and data science at the Institute of Analytics and Data Science, University of Essex, UK. Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, Spain, and University of Oxford. Professor Francisca has won many grants and co-authored several award-winning proposals for donor-funded projects, including the Philip Foundation grants, Google Rapid COVID-19 grant, Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs Orange Knowledge Program, Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship, Dutch Development Bank grant for capacity strengthening in Africa. In addition to developing innovative curriculum for multidisciplinary research, Francisca is bridging the gaps between research and practice in the areas of theoretical computer science, and she has published numerous papers detailing her research experiences in both local and international journals, and presented research papers in several international conferences. She is also a reviewer and editorial board member of many international scientific publications. For the purpose of this exercise, she is a staff of this university and not yet a Vice Chancellor of Thomas Adewumi University. I have the honor and the privilege to introduce or to invite this quintessential scholar, Francisca. You are surprised. It was a coup. Thank you, Daddy. He told me, you know, I can keep secret. So that's why. I have the privilege and honor to invite Francisca to deliver our inaugural lecture.
Okay, I'm gonna stand like this. Yes. Am I audible? Yes. Maybe I'll have to hold this. Okay. But there's a cable.
It's fine. I'll change it.
Okay, sir. The Vice Chancellor, sir. I know a protocol has already been established, but I would like to recognize the presence of my Chancellor, Dr. JBO Adewumi, and his wife, Dr. Mrs. Gloria Adewumi. They are also my parents. With your kind protocol, sir. Sir, I need your permission to adopt the already established protocol. Thank you, sir. The protocol has been established. Can you move to the next slide, please? God make all things beautiful in his time. God has a calendar, and it is not ours. He has given everything an appointed time. This lecture was originally scheduled for February 23rd, 2022. And then a few days before that time, the Academic Staff Union of Universities declared a total comprehensive nationwide strike. And we had to take that very difficult decision to postpone the inaugural lecture because God has a calendar and he has a time for everything. I would like to use this opportunity, what I will call an unexpected possibility. Before I joined Federal University Lokoja, Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished audience and your excellencies, the timetable, the schedule for inaugural lecture in my former university was in like 2026 or thereabouts. I was a senior lecturer at that time, and we had so many senior professors who had queued up to give their inaugural lecture, like the professors of my professors. So I'd assumed that for me Inaugural lecture is something I'll probably give. Maybe I would have died of old age before it ever gets to my turn. But here I am today, just a little over 2 years of being announced a professor, and I'm giving an inaugural lecture. Thank you so much, sir. Before I take on what I currently do and what I hope to continue to do for the rest of my career as a professor of computer science, I would like to take you, Vice Chancellor, Excellencies, distinguished audience, through my research journey map. Vice Chancellor, sir, I'm a theoretical computer scientist, like the traditional old school type. What do I mean, and why did I choose this path? Our profession was almost going into extinction at some point because of a decreased interest in pure sciences. You see people going into applied physics and not theoretical physics. You see people go into applied mathematics and no longer pure mathematics. The same thing with pure theoretical computer science, because the concepts are so abstract and students find them so difficult. They kind of decided to move into applied computing. I would like to share with you some responses from my group, the Reddit group. Somebody asked a question: who else has lost interest in pure mathematics? And you see students just saying, oh, I actually enrolled in pure mathematics, but now right away I'm just going to move away. I just graduated right now. No, I love maths. I'm not trying to offend anyone. But for me, it is not for me. It is not what I want to do. And so there was a lot of support for the few of us who were remaining in pure science at that time. And I took on that opportunity to be a theoretical computer scientist. And therefore, I developed my capacities along different areas of computer science, whether it is algorithm, automata and computability, compiler construction, database system, motion design. While I major in software reverse engineering, I was doing Internet of Things, I was doing physical computing, I was doing mobile and desktop. And I developed this. And we also established that tradition in the Department of Computer Science, FUL, such that everyone, no matter their primary areas of interest, they can actually provide teaching and research leadership at the undergraduate level across the different areas of theoretical computing. And that is why you see we'll mostly publish together, all of us. You see all of us were able to confidently publish together because we're all in theoretical computing. I'm a problem solver. I just love solving problems, what we call wicked problems in theoretical research. And as a doctoral student, I pioneered development of the reverse engineering model for preserving software artifacts. And I published extensively in this area. Why? Usually, when people get tired of an application, the technologies are no longer supported. What do? They discard. And then you find a lot of electronic wastes all over the computing sphere. And so with my work in 2010, we have a preservation methodology and a model that looks at the software investment of every organization and then re-engineer it to new technologies. And this modernization paradigm worked along the different spheres, from the functions to the structures to object-oriented computing, and so it was quite relevant. As an early career academic, I was building my research because I had the energy, I had the time, I had the advantage of age. By the time I completed my doctoral, it was just like I had so much time to do a lot of research. And that explains why I was able to go into so many solutions, because I love solving problems. And as a postdoc at MIT, I work with my professors and we re-engineered the Fagan model. The Fagan model was like over 100 years old at that time, and we had to re-engineer it, and then systems as of 2014 could fit into the Fagan model. One day, we were taking an inventory of discarded computers in the computer labs at Nnamdi Azikiwe University Oko. And they were like, okay, what are we going to do? The hardware labs are filled up. And I remembered at MIT that they don't discard their computers. What do? They bring them together and build high-performance systems. And so working with two of my undergraduate students, we built a high-performance computer from discarded hardware. And then with that, we were able to actually stream movies on campus whenever we have any social events with the students, and it was quite an exciting time. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished audience, your excellencies, my journey, even as a professor, I didn't stop research. I didn't stop working. And so, with my students, I continue to build scalable computing artifacts, models, software, tools, repositories. I continue to re-engineer methodologies for data migration as I continue to improve on my work. Now I have graduate students, and then we could do so many things. And I ventured into cloud computing, still bringing my research interests, reverse engineering, to refactor load balancing, such that you hardly experience breaks when you're working with old applications, with old hardware, but with new applications. As of 2014, most of the models that were used in Java-enabled phones with the Internet Engineering Task Force, I was part of that development. There were others I did at Google, but because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, I could not disclose them. And I went into analytics to assess programming language preferences among undergraduate students. With my undergraduate students, sir, in 2017, we developed 2 programming languages here at the Computer Science Lab of Federal University Lokoja. Vice Chancellor, sir, the research in computing is usually organized around what we call grand challenges, because computing is very, very dynamic. So from time to time, you see that wave of interest. Now it is software engineering. The next time, it is something else. Now, presently, we're in machine learning and data science, bringing forth artificial intelligence closer to the human. For me, I was finding every area of need. So if I'm not teaching coding to college kids in Houston, I'm improving the e-learning environment in low bandwidth in Zambia, or I'm designing user experience models in Mountain View, California. And of course, deep learning for social good in Cleveland. I went into federated learning. I was everywhere, not because I had no focus, but because I love to solve problems. So if I have to publish 5 times, while I had like 3 for my primary research area, which is reverse engineering, I make sure I apply to solve some other problems in different areas. And it makes it easy because in computer science, FUL, we're able to work together and collaborate. And then, Vice Chancellor, sir, there was that boss, data science, machine learning. So in 2017, I was privileged to receive the fellowship of the Heidelberg Laureate Foundation. And at the Heidelberg University, one of the oldest in Germany, actually in Europe, sir, you know you're a German, I was converted. And then I became a data scientist and a machine learning evangelist. And working with my colleague, Abdul, the first solution we built was a reinforcement learning system that was applied at the IDP camps in Bauchi and Borno State. Mr. Alkali, are you here? Mr. Alkali taught us Kanuri at that time because we needed to build translation for Kanuri speakers. Thank you so much, Mr. Alkali. And then working with my undergraduate student in 2018, still computing for humanity, we conducted a research around here, a survey. And we found out that students, non-computer science students, when they encounter error in their programs, they really don't want to continue. They will simply drop it. And we decided, okay, what if the application programming interface, rather than just flashing the error, will actually indicate the solution, but they will not copy it and paste it into the program, but type the solution like an open book programming. And so with Memunat, who is now in Australia for her PhD, we built a Code-Easy tool to support computational programming in Python for non-computer science students. When I presented this in Cleveland, you know, for me it was just an undergraduate student, we're just working, fooling around with Python and all that. It was something no one ever thought about. And then the Python ladies were like, oh, nobody actually thought about building a system that not only flags the error, but actually provides an open book solution. And it was really applauded, and we got an award. Vice Chancellor, Sir, Excellencies, our computer science department is so unique and funny. Where is Mr. Sam? Mr. Sam is an admin officer in the department, but we actually worked with him and built a leak detection system for petroleum pipelines in Ibaji local government, Kogi State. And working with MTN, Kogi State, we built an subscriber identification modules for SIM cards during the registration process. On and on and on, sir. I was really not satisfied with my knowledge of machine learning and data science. And there, as an associate professor, I dropped my title and went back to school. And that was how I ended up in Spain at the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. I received a UNESCO fellowship to the Institute of Analytics and Data Science, University of Essex in the UK. And of course, I had to go to Oxford to also take some time to solve real life problems. But there's something we discovered, sir, that in solving these problems, you can imagine I'm solving a problem to scan through documents written in Yoruba, and then I have to use a data set from Weka or from Google that does not contain Yoruba characters. And that is why people can still get away with things like on social media. If you call somebody a fool on Facebook, they will suspend your account. But if you say Ode, because the algorithms were trained with foreign characters that are not in our character. And that made me to go into natural language processing. And we formed with Emeka, where is Emeka Obuju? The Makashane project in South Africa, to build the vocabularies of African languages because our characters are specific to us. And in the interest of time, so between 2017 and 2022, it was like I was in a full throttle because I wanted to solve problems. So I looked into different areas: translation, sentiment analysis, some terrorism detection, reinforcement learning for little children, everything just to do artificial intelligence for social good. And I was enjoying it so well, but there was still that problem that I'm a reverse engineer. I am just a visitor in this field. How do I bring reverse engineering into all this? I had to ascend what you call the FAIR stairwell. In a while, I'm going to be telling the listening audience the meaning of FAIR, but I want to describe another journey. Vice Chancellor, sir, it all started with a question. One afternoon on the 10th of March, 2010, I just defended my PhD. I was so excited. After the scoring and everything, all that thing they tell you, you need to submit within 2 weeks, you need to sign this, you need to pay that. Then the external examiner asked me, Francisca, what's next? Now you have done a novel methodology, we have applauded you, you have built a new model, we have applauded you. What next? What would you want to do next? I was just a young PhD graduate. I had no idea. Then to us, we thought once you get a PhD, oh, you have ended research. And I told him, oh, well, look at the section on recommendation on chapter 7, where I recommended the areas for future research and all that. And he now said, you're preserving artifacts. What about the data? If you preserve a software, what happens to the data in that software? And then it clicked. And I've had that burning in me. How can we provide access to data across different locations and preserve them? How can researchers seamlessly have access to data, both legacy and fresh data? And then for Africa, data is so much of a Western thing. If you listen to international news and media a lot or any analytics, they'll show you, oh, this is the Europe, this is from England, this is from this place, this is from Switzerland, this is from Australia, this is this, and then you see the rest of the world. So Africa is classified as the rest of the world. How do we ensure that Africa is not anonymous? But you can say, okay, Federal University Lokoja, this data was discovered there. GSS Boronu, this was discovered there. That was a research question for me. We remember the Ebola situation. A lot of data was collected from Africa. Those data are no longer in Africa. How do we protect data ownership such that if a medical data is collected here at the FEL clinic, it remains the property of Federal University Lokoja Clinic, and then it obeys the laws of data privacy and data protection of Nigeria? And some missionaries or some researchers don't just come, collect data, and then take it away. And finally, how do we ensure that after collecting all this data, they are findable, they are accessible, they are interoperable, they are reusable? And that marked my journey into fair data science. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished audience, my Chancellor, that how can we ensure that when data is collected in Africa, researchers from Africa and the rest of the world can have access to those data? Data is perhaps one of the most important ingredients of research. Once you do problem identification, the next thing you think about is, where would the data come from? And the process of data collection for us in Africa is tedious, is repetitive, it's unreliable. Many times, even when students go to some clinics or some organizations to collect data, they are backhanded data. They're not officially collected, so nobody can actually vouch for the authenticity of those data. So it is important that as Africans, we can actually ensure that data collected for our research, they are findable. Computer algorithms can find them. So that when I have gone through the data collection process that is tedious, that is repetitive, that is chaotic, and I spent 80% of the time of my research analyzing this data, I can store it in such a way that Dr. Sarah Yanni tomorrow or next year or in 15 years' time can write a program to find that data. And then she can have access to the data, or at least I point her, if you want to access this data, please email me at francisca.oladipo@fullokoja.edu.ng. Or I can say, okay, this data is available on OSF at this URL. And then, fair. She's been able to find it, findable. Now she knows how to access it, accessible. I've collected this data to do analytics in computer science. She is in library science. This data should be interoperable across different platforms. And then when she's done analyzing with a copy, she publishes, she acknowledges me. Onuche publishes, acknowledges me. Every other person acknowledges me and leaves the data in residence. So that in another time, another researcher comes and is able to reuse this data. That is findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable. Fair. Fair is African culture. Fair is in sharing. We share everything. So why can't we share data as well? And that is why we, as a group of researchers, if you can please advance the slide because of time. Yeah, definition of data science, you can just move on. Just continue. Yeah. Thank you. Chancellor, sir, Excellencies, Mr. Vice Chancellor, distinguished listeners. You recall that I had mentioned earlier that in computer science, our research usually revolves around a particular grand challenge. There is a new grand challenge, Vice Chancellor, sir, and I'm proud to let you know that I currently lead this challenge of a new kind of science in Africa. This challenge is called the science of fair data. Could you advance the slide? I have just explained it. It's a principle so that when a researcher goes around, collects data, whether I'm working in the same domain or a slightly similar domain, if I need that kind of data, I should be able to find it. I should be able to know how to access it. It may not be just available for me to download. I may need to go through some processes. So when I publish, I don't just publish my research, but I publish either the data or information on how to find the data I've used in the research, how to access it, and then store it in a form, in a repository that ensures that it is interoperable across different platforms, and ensure that other researchers coming after me are able to reuse this. What is more African than this, Mr. Vice Chancellor? That is the spirit of Africanism, and that is Mashakane. And so, we identify that data collection is tedious. It's repetitive. Why don't we make it easier for researchers that are coming after us? We're still tinkering with this. And then in 2020, COVID-19 happened. Please advance the slide. Yes, I just give an example of a data that is a research that supports FAIR. If you look at it, that is the publication where I've circled in red. I don't know why this is not clear. I don't know if it's my site, but I actually say, okay, the public data is available, and then anyone clicks on that link, it takes them to where they can actually get the data. So if there's any other researcher that needs this type of data, doesn't need to send questionnaires all over the place, and some gets missing, and some comes back as incomplete data. Someone else, this author, already collected the data, cleaned it, analyzed it, provided insights, and then made life easier for the next researcher. If we just advance the slide, please. So there are so many tools, you find so many of them in this work. And then FAIR in Africa, the projects I currently do. Vice Chancellor, sir, what I currently lead and what I profess. And the main topic for today is the Virus Outbreak Data Africa Network. How do we move? Could you move the slide? How do we move from this kind of data in paper that you cannot use for any analytics? How do we move from this to a machine actionable data? That is fair data science. To provide access to different kinds of data in Africa. We were on this, and we have this partnership because everyone was locked down in 2020. And then some of us came together from 8 countries in Africa and universities, Kampala International University, Mekele University, and the Addis Ababa University, Olabisi Onabanjo University in Nigeria, IBB University in Nigeria, University of Sus in Tunisia, Great Zimbabwe University. And we formed this partnership, supported by GoFair Foundation and the San Diego Supercomputer Center. We received the first seed grant from Phillips Foundation to build machine actionable fair data for Africa. And while the rest of the world were like gloomy, we're having a ball because every week we meet. And in these countries, while we're locked down, we're actually doing fair data science. And we formed a partnership in these 8 countries, supported by our partners in North America and in Europe. And we built machine actionable data points, 10 of them 2 in Nigeria, across different African countries, without even stepping out. Vice Chancellor, sir, I would like to, at this point, I apologize if I break protocol to recognize some members of my team from Kampala International University, led by Professor Tayo Arulogun. Please, could you rise up? With this gentleman, I was their barber. The lockdown was so, please be seated, sirs, was so bad in Uganda that you cannot even go to the market. The market women don't go home. We were all total lockdown. Like, the bike man will bring your goods from the market, knock on your door and go away. You're not to have contact with him. But under those conditions, we were working, we were forming partnerships, and we were building usable products. And so, Vice Chancellor, sir, we're able to ensure that data is locally reposited in Uganda, in Nigeria, in Tunisia, in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, in Liberia, in Somalia, and across several other locations in Africa. And we're able to provide a place for Africa. So researchers looking for COVID-19 data will find Africa data. We're no longer the rest of the world, but we now can specifically name an African city and say this data came from Vodan Africa Fair Data Point at the University of Sousse in Tunisia, at Kampala International University in Uganda, at Hoima Clinic in northern Uganda, and so on. This is a bit technical, but I'll try to kind of make it simple. So this is the first architecture we built. We developed the interface for the bulk inputs. And then we have the embeddable editor at the clinic. To make sure the data is findable, we created the metadata for each clinic. So each clinic will have an identity. And then we also create the metadata for the patient data in that clinic. So I'll give an example. A student of computer science who was admitted 2019, 2020, for example, will have CSC/19/. So we had to create, and using the WHO standard. And from there, we also now discover that, we have built for health system. There are dashboards for analytics. We have provided the data findability. They are interoperable. They are reusable. What if a university wants to collect research data? And so we had to re-engineer the architecture. Please, could you move on? Re-engineer the architecture for research data. Simply the same process. Just build repositories and then ensure that they're findable, they're accessible, they're interoperable, and reusable. And then we now look at it. Why do we really have to duplicate things? Why don't we just build one architecture so that a university like Federal University Lokoja, no, could you go back? Not yet. Like Federal University Lokoja has a clinic. Why do we have to build 2 different architectures? And then we built the combined architecture for both the clinic and the research data. And this is it. If you continue on, thank you. Can you just go on? So when we had the architecture, some countries like Kenya and Ethiopia, they were like, we already have our own health system. Why are you coming to duplicate? Okay, hold on, don't worry, we won't duplicate. Can you feed your health management information system into the Vodan Africa system? But we don't have people to do it. Don't worry, our engineers will do it. And then we sat down and redesigned the architecture. In addition to verification of new data, existing data in any health management information system can also feed into the architecture. And then we have the final one. Then, what verification tool will be most appropriate? We couldn't find any because we wanted to protect data in Africa. We wanted data to be in residence. What do? We started looking around. And then the team, please can you go back to the previous architecture? So the team at Stanford University, they have the CEDAR workbench, but it does not support data localization. The data will have to go to Stanford to be verified and come back. We had to sit down, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, between September 2020 and just yesterday, we were able to re-engineer CEDA, and now data localization is possible. So you ask me, where can I find these data points? We have them in these countries. We have 30 facilities in Ethiopia. We have 3 data points in Kenya. There is 1 in Liberia, 21 in Nigeria. Somalia has 19. We have 1 in Tanzania. We have 6 in Uganda. And we have 7 in Zimbabwe. But it gets better if you move to the next slide. Just steps from this auditorium, if you move to the Federal University Lokoja Medical Center, there is a Vodafone Africa Fair data point. And then if you are in Felele, we also have 1 in Felele, providing access to verified data for researchers in Africa. Vice Chancellor, sir, it was quite tedious. And so, in the spirit of Africanism, we did not want people coming after us to have to go through. I mean, we spent all of 2020, the whole of 2021, and up to 3/4 of 2022 doing this. So we had to ensure that our processes, our routines are findable, accessible, and interoperable and reusable. So we had to show everyone how we did it. There are no secrets. We're not after trade. It wasn't our money. Foreign organizations gave us money. The Dutch Development Bank, the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Philips Foundation, Google. So we had to put in everything available in the OSF, the Open Science Framework. You find all the processes, all the tools, all the analytics, all the objects of the Vodafone Africa project in OSF. Next, please. And then on GitHub, for those who are interested only in the programming, you find everything to actually do a verification process in GitHub. And go on. We've published a book of reference. It's actually large, but for those who love to read, you can always reference this and build a fair data point. Please go on. We published the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Press. We published 30 articles in the ever. Know if I will ever enjoy anything like that elsewhere. Maybe TAU people, they will match that. But ever since I came to this campus, it's been nothing but love. I am grateful to everyone. I hope everyone would have the lecture notes. I have listed so many people. If I have omitted anyone, I am so sorry. I had to cut out because the NUC said when he receives copies of inaugural lectures, the acknowledgements and appreciations are usually longer than the lectures. So, but just know that for everybody in this room, everyone in the audience, from my TAU family, we have our deans and heads of departments and directors. TAU, please could you just rise for recognition, led by our Chancellor and our mommy. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. You have supported me. You came all the way from Oko. Thank you so, so much. Vice Chancellor, sir, I also want to thank my family, my parents. My mom and my dad, they were my first mathematical teachers. In fact, my mom taught me quantitative reasoning in arithmetic. And that kind of sharpened my mathematical aptitude. And so it kind of stimulated my interest in computer science. I want to thank them, thank the members of my family, my siblings, my daughter. She's watching this from our campus at the University of Manitoba, Canada. Thank you, thank you. Can you please put the last slide? Chancellor, sir, co-founder, distinguished audience, I have saved this photograph through 3 different phones because this picture means a lot to me. I'm the eldest child of my parents, and being a female, naturally, I grew up having to be the one to look after everyone else. And then God of double portions just decided to gift me 2 fathers here at FUL and 2 older brothers. These 4 gentlemen in this picture will go to the ends of the earth to find anything that will make me comfortable. I cannot think of a better occasion than today to say thank you to you, Professor Olayemi Akinwumi, not as my boss and vice chancellor, but as my father. To thank you, Professor Sunday Eric Adewumi, for being a father to me. When I joined the Department of Computer Science as an associate professor, you practically just left everything in my hands. Other people would have curtailed you, would have seen you as a rising star and tried. No, Prof was never like that. Professor Gbenga Ibileye, thank you so much, big brother. Thank you, sir. Professor MS Audu, thank you, big brother. I promise I'll continue to be stubborn. I promise I'll continue to be a thorn in the flesh of the 2 of you. As your little sister, you don't have a choice, you're stuck with me. Thank you. And to my chancellor who pulled a surprise. I mean, I don't know. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. You wouldn't let me kneel in public, but I have to do it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma. Thank you. Vice Chancellor, sir, that is my fairy tale. To everyone here, I say thank you. Thank you. The Almighty will be the same.
Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions.
All right. Please, can you make that ovation louder? You know, I told you that you were going to enjoy every moment of this presentation. Thank you very much, media. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. It couldn't be fairer than this, could it? We're really proud of her. I'd like to invite the Vice Chancellor to recognize and appreciate all our distinguished guests here.
Thank you, the registrar. The Deputy Vice Chancellors, Academic and Administration, the Registrar, the Librarian, Professors here, Directors, Deans, Head of Departments, ladies and gentlemen. The inaugural lecturer has actually tried to convert me to being a computer scientist. I think to also solve solution, I will try to use history to go into history to solve solution in computer science. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for her. I told you that she's one of our best, and she has demonstrated it this evening. I want to thank you again. And for those of you who have been attending our inaugural lecture, you see some changes today. And yes. Let me seize this opportunity to specially welcome and recognize the registrar of the university. This is our first inaugural lecture in this university. You can see you can see the feminine touch in the inaugural lecture. Yes, I know. Gender something. Yes, yes. Thank you. It's time for me to acknowledge the presence of those who are in the hall this evening. Let me start from the founder of Thomas Adewumi University and his wife. You know, he called me that he's on his way, and we started struggling. I said, you are coming. I said, you are going to be our guest. He said, no. You know, he has a wonderful secondary school before he's established a university, and it's one of the best in Nigeria. That people in, you know, he has many students or graduates from that. There are big people in Lokoja. They said they are going to host him. I said, no, it's not possible. You go back to Oko. But for Lokoja, it's going to be the responsibility of this university. Sir, and you told me, you said, I should not let Francisca to know. But, sir, you are lucky, sir, because I have not seen Francisca. I just saw him this time. Because, you know, I will have just exposed everything to. But I thank God, sir. It was a pleasant surprise, and I'm happy you are here. We came to inaugurate Francisca. You can still remember the wonderful reception you gave us. And Francisca came from Kampala. It was Idi who said he's going to retaliate. This is a form of retaliation today for the visit you have to us. So please, I will ask Engineer Dr. and Mrs. Johnson Adewumi to please stand up for recognition, sir. They are the founder of this. Yeah. And of course, I didn't know, you know, I didn't tell my wife to come, but I think she's here. Mrs. Akinomi. Mrs. Akinomi, can you rise up for? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That is Mrs. Akinomi. Let me especially recognize the representative of Command Naval Drafting, Lokoja, Commando Adirele Oni Monsa. Representative of Command Army Record, Lieutenant Colonel Esu Enya Monsa. Also, Command Naval Drafting Banda, Lieutenant Commando A. Abdullahi Monsa. A delegation from Kogi State Polytechnic, Lokoja, led by Dr. Lamidi Kende, Deputy Rector, and other principal officers. So you are welcome. And of course, my big brother, General Manager, NTA Lokoja, Alaji Yaya Adam. The delegation of professors and officers from Thomas Adewumi University Oko. Where are you? Please rise up for recognition. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming. There is an established relationship between us, so you are always welcome to Lokoja anytime. Delegation from Kampala University, Uganda. And I thank you. I want to tell you that we'll be in Uganda this January. We have an agreement with the university there for their convocation. Myself, the registrar, and other person. Thank you, please. Delegation from Alama Suits. I think they are here. Thank you for coming. Resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, my big brother, Ulu Okoro here, and his delegation. Please, where are you? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Commandant NNS Lugard Banda, Commando KJ Odubanjo. Where are you, sir? I think he has left. Thank you. Yeah. And of course, big brother, one of those people who are looking at that in the University of Ilorin. I invited him here, Professor Ate. Please, can you stand up for recognition of the University of Ilorin? Thank you. So this is a wonderful time. And first, as in our tradition, I want to, please, can I have those something? Yeah. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, can I invite Professor Ati to step forward to present this to Professor Francisca or Ladi Boss? Please, can you photographers, please. Yeah, please, sir. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, please go there. Let me invite Mrs. Akumi to step forward to do this presentation on behalf of the husband. Yes, before the Chancellor, this for us, let me invite the wife of the proprietor of the Thomas Adewumi University. Please step forward, ma. You alone. Yes, please step forward. Please, on behalf of the university, can you kindly present this to her? Thank you. I understand the Chancellor, Thomas Adewumi University, has a presentation for. Yeah, okay. Sir, Daddy, please, can you step forward, do your presentation? Okay, sir. It's okay, sir.
Our amiable and I would say Vice Chancellor, Professor Akewumi, you know, the first time I talked to you, I was afraid to talk to you. Not because in age I'm older than you, but your position is highly referred because of the kind of person you are. I've heard so much about you. And when I headhunted and found Francisca to be the person that we need for our university, in our own way of doing things, we don't employ people without reference. We don't steal staff. I don't do that. And I was afraid of getting no from you. But I still mount the courage and asked you. I went through a friend that knows you. And in order to soften the ground. And I know it was hard for you. But you, I would say, it was not glad. It was not gladly, because I wouldn't use the word you used that day. But there's something you said which gladdens my heart. And when you have a leader like that in any organization, that organization can only progress. You said, it is going to be hard for me, but I will, and in your words, I will not stand against her progress. Because the right thing for you to say that day was to say no, and I would have walked away. But you realize that it was an opportunity for her. It's very uncommon, because I know she's a valuable staff to you, but you realize that it was an opportunity for her to make progress, and you did not you never stood against that. I want to appreciate you for that. And people like you can only go higher and higher. Because God will always make way for you. That's number one. Second thing is that, okay, Professor Ate here was my senior in school. And I don't think, probably since 1973, I don't think we've not been having, I've been hearing your name everywhere, but it's my pleasure meeting you today. But you see, the one thing that surprised me about Francisca is her humility. I mean, in fact, it goes to the level of embarrassment for me. So anywhere, and she's doing the same thing, not just for me, anybody that is older than her. This lady, a professor of computer science, even some of the girls that we have in SS3, they hardly be able to say, this lady will go down. She's a true African girl. And I told her that, and she said something about her mother now. You see, it's about parenthood. I've not met her mother, but everybody, I've met the KBC of Idanre. I mean, it's people. I mean, this man is over 90 years of age, but at his level, this young lady is well known and loved by her community because of her character. Therefore, I want to thank everybody in FUL here that helped to make this woman. You have done an excellent job, and she's a true ambassador of FUL. Finally, before I conclude here, I'm happy to be here. I know that I have to put many things away to be here. And I know if I'm not here, it is a sin. Therefore, she deserves much more than that. She's truly a problem solver. She's a problem solver. Unlike many people I have met, this lady came to our university, we had challenges, and she smiles at everything. Even when I look at things that at my age that look so daunting, by the time I talk to Francisca, she make a miss. She's such a powerful, hardworking, understanding young lady. I don't know what language to say, but just as you said that day, something about, and she said you are a father, and she has had so many fathers. There's nobody who will not be happy to be her father. So, and I'm one of that now. So, it's a huge responsibility for me. I want to thank Professor Adewumi, and today I'm meeting your wife. We have become a family. In fact, I didn't want to bother you or anything, because here in Lokoja here, there are a lot of my ex-students, there are a lot of parents here, where they know I'm going to be here, it's going to be. But when you say I must stay with you, you use one word. You say, I'm like a father to you. And I told everybody else, nobody else used that name for me. They see me as a proprietor. I'm a father there, I will stay with my son. So, thank you so much for accepting my wife and I as part of your family. And thank you for allowing Thomas Adewumi University to be mentored through you by Francisca. And she has been here with us now for about 3 months. But the difference is clear. The difference is clear. So we want to thank you so much, and this lady, one other thing is that she goes to the level of an 100 level student, and she mentors everybody. She's available at any time. Such a lecturer, a teacher, a wonderful African girl is very rare. And the sky it's not even your limit. God is going to lift you higher. Because humility is an act of God. Anybody who is humble, there cannot be any limitation. If you are the best academician in the whole world and you are proud, you are not going to go far. She talk about being fair data. And that is what she is. She does not keep things to herself. She's ready to share with anybody. She's ready to open the door of progress to students and to lecturers, whoever wants to come her way. And she's leading from the front. I want to thank you, Professor Adewumi, and the brother that have been so close to her. But thank God, Professor Adewumi has signed an agreement because Adewumi University is a baby of FUL also. So therefore, we must go together. So we are all together wherever we are going. I want to thank you so much. Francisca, you are a wonderful lady. I'm happy to meet those people who work with you from Uganda and from FUL Lokoja here. You have been talking about them. This Lokoja is so important. Now we are here. Even though the town is not so beautiful, but yes, I'm not going to deceive you. You have a lot to do. You have a lot to do. Therefore, it is the registrar of Adewumi University gave me an assignment. I didn't want that. So, on behalf of the council and the founders of Adewumi University, on the occasion of the 8th inaugural lecture that you have so wonderfully and excellently presented, it's my pleasure to present this to you on behalf of Adewumi University. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, sir. Daddy. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you, sir. The computer student, Abi? Staff.
Thank you very much. Please another round of applause for. Thank you very much. I will welcome again to the microphone the registrar of the university, please.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chancellor, principal officers of the university, deans and directors, it's my pleasure to invite the Vice Chancellor once again to declare this very beautiful inaugural lecture. It couldn't get better. Vice Chancellors at different points have struggled to bring academic tradition back to universities, including timing of the activities, academic ceremonies. The Kefi Declaration recommended an hour for inaugural lectures. Professor Francisca did something so marvelous this evening. Usually, inaugural lectures are boring, in quote. What I am used to, they just read and read and read. Sometimes, if you are unlucky, it is mathematics or computer science like hers, you would want to run away. You will wish that it would end. But this is different. She delivered it in such a beautiful layman term that we could all flow along with her and we understood what she was saying. Like I said, it couldn't get fairer. So we're so proud of her. I think we should add Ambassador Professor Francisca to her. Thank you so much. On that note, I want to invite the Vice Chancellor to declare this very beautiful ceremony closed. Thank you.
I hereby declare it closed.
Thank you very much. Please, we'll rise for a fuel anthem. Please rise and remain standing. The Federal University Lokoja anthem.
For motherland in science and arts and innovations, let your light keep shining brightly to make our nation great and train our youth to be first-class leaders. We praise you, the Federal University Lokoja, the Federal University Lokoja, bringing from the north, the east and west and south, youths that we stand as shining patrons in Buddhists in truth and industry. Your foundation for development and peace from north to south shall build a nation united and transformed. We praise you, the Federal University Lokoja. Greatest FUL! Greatest FUL! Of the greatest and the greatest and the greatest FUL!
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for as the procession please goes back in reverse order. Please remain standing and kindly stay away from the walkway. Please, the procession leaves now. Please remain standing. Please remain standing. Please remain standing. Thank you. Please remain, please remain, please remain, please remain standing. Please remain standing. Thank you very much. Your mix. All right, thank you very much. To our very special guests, thank you very much. We thank you for honoring Federal University Lokoja with your presence. Thank you for coming to be a part of our 8th inaugural lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, our special guest from the Mego Mary Army Records, please. Our special